The elephant was known as the most stable investor in the jungle. He was not the fastest, but he was the most prepared. The elephant believed survival came before growth. He respected uncertainty more than opportunity. While others chased returns, the elephant planned for risks. The jungle economy was unpredictable. Market cycles changed without warning. Natural disasters disrupted supply chains. Political shifts affected trade routes. Sudden crises were common in the jungle. Many investors ignored these realities. They believed optimism was enough. The elephant disagreed. He believed preparation was power. His core principle was financial resilience. The elephant always asked one question first: what if everything goes wrong? This mindset shaped his strategy. The elephant focused on emergency planning. He prioritized liquidity over luxury. He valued cash buffers. He respected downside protection. The elephant created an emergency fund early. He did this before expanding investments. He did this before partnerships. He did this before diversification. The emergency fund was non-negotiable. It was separate from growth capital. It was untouched during good times. It was designed only for crises. Other animals questioned his approach. They called him overly cautious. They said he missed opportunities. They said idle cash was wasteful. The elephant listened calmly. He did not argue emotionally. He relied on data and experience. He had seen past collapses. He had survived previous downturns. He understood market behavior. The elephant knew crises arrive suddenly. They do not announce themselves. They do not wait for readiness. They expose weak planning. They punish overconfidence. The elephant built his fund systematically. He allocated a fixed percentage of income. He automated savings. He avoided temptation. He avoided lifestyle inflation. He avoided unnecessary leverage. He kept the fund liquid. He chose low-risk instruments. He prioritized accessibility. He avoided locking funds long-term. He defined clear usage rules. The fund was not for opportunity. It was not for speculation. It was not for ego. It was only for emergencies. Medical crises were included. Business shutdowns were included. Market crashes were included. Cash flow disruptions were included. The elephant documented his policy. He followed it strictly. Discipline mattered more than returns. The jungle entered a growth phase. Markets expanded rapidly. Credit became cheap. Risk appetite increased. Many animals borrowed aggressively. They reinvested everything. Emergency planning was ignored. Cash buffers disappeared. Leverage replaced caution. The elephant stayed patient. He continued funding his reserve. He resisted peer pressure. He respected long-term survival. The jungle mocked his slow pace. Success stories dominated conversations. Risk warnings were dismissed. The elephant remained silent. He believed cycles always reverse. He believed downturns are inevitable. He prepared quietly. His emergency fund grew steadily. It reached 6 months of expenses. Then it reached 9 months. Finally, it reached 1 year. The elephant felt secure. He did not feel greedy. He felt stable. Stability gave him confidence. Confidence came from preparation. Preparation reduced fear. Fearless planning improved decisions. The elephant waited patiently. The jungle was unaware of what was coming. The crisis arrived without warning. Markets collapsed overnight. Liquidity vanished instantly. Credit lines froze. Revenue streams stopped. Panic spread across the jungle. Investors rushed to sell assets. Prices crashed rapidly. Losses mounted everywhere. Over-leveraged animals suffered first. Businesses shut down abruptly. Cash flow dried up. Salaries went unpaid. Suppliers demanded cash. Fear dominated decisions. Many animals were unprepared. They had no reserves. They had no buffer. They relied on hope. Hope failed them. The elephant remained calm. He activated his emergency fund. He did not sell core assets. He avoided panic decisions. He protected long-term investments. He covered operating expenses. He paid employees on time. He maintained supplier trust. His reputation strengthened. Stability attracted confidence. While others downsized, he survived. While others collapsed, he endured. The fund absorbed shocks. The fund bought time. Time allowed strategy. Strategy replaced fear. The elephant analyzed conditions rationally. He cut unnecessary costs. He paused expansion plans. He preserved capital. The emergency fund reduced stress. Stress-free decisions were better. Emotional mistakes were avoided. The elephant stayed disciplined. Other animals noticed. They questioned their own choices. They realized preparation mattered. Many sought the elephant's advice. He shared lessons openly. He emphasized liquidity management. He explained risk scenarios. He warned against full reinvestment. He promoted financial resilience. Some listened. Some ignored him. The crisis deepened. More businesses failed. Asset prices fell further. Opportunities slowly emerged. Only prepared investors could act. The elephant waited patiently. He did not rush. He monitored recovery signals. He preserved emergency reserves. He did not misuse them. He separated survival from opportunity. This distinction was critical. When stability returned, he acted. He deployed excess cash wisely. He acquired undervalued assets. He negotiated from strength. His balance sheet was clean. His credibility was intact. The crisis rewarded preparation. The elephant emerged stronger. Others emerged weaker. Some never recovered. The jungle learned painfully. Emergency funds became a topic. Financial education increased. Risk awareness improved. The elephant's strategy gained respect. His patience was validated. His discipline was proven. His survival inspired reform. The crisis slowly passed. Markets stabilized. Confidence returned cautiously. Lessons remained fresh. The elephant documented outcomes. He refined his strategy. He updated contingency plans. He rebuilt reserves again. He treated emergencies as inevitable. He did not relax discipline. He prepared for the next cycle. Survival had taught him wisdom. Wisdom guided future growth. The elephant stayed grounded. The jungle was permanently changed. After the crisis, reflection began. Survivors reviewed their mistakes. Failed investors analyzed gaps. Lack of reserves was common. Overconfidence caused collapse. Short-term thinking proved fatal. The elephant led workshops. He explained emergency fund principles. He emphasized separation of funds. He taught expense-based planning. He recommended 6 to 12 months coverage. He stressed liquidity importance. He discouraged risky instruments. He warned against emotional spending. Education spread across the jungle. Policies were introduced. Businesses adopted buffers. Investors restructured portfolios. Cash management improved. Leverage reduced. Risk tolerance adjusted. Growth expectations normalized. The elephant remained consistent. He practiced what he preached. He rebuilt his emergency fund. He never skipped contributions. He respected uncertainty. He prepared for disruptions. New crises emerged later. Smaller shocks tested systems. Prepared investors remained stable. Unprepared ones struggled again. Patterns became obvious. Preparation separated survivors. Emergency funds proved effective. The elephant's legacy grew. His story became a case study. Finance students analyzed it. Investors quoted it. Entrepreneurs applied it. The jungle matured financially. Stability improved overall. Systemic risk reduced. Collective resilience increased. The elephant stayed humble. He credited discipline. He credited patience. He credited planning. He warned against complacency. He reminded everyone, crises never disappear. They only change form. Emergency funds remain relevant. They protect dignity. They protect choice. They protect strategy. The elephant aged gracefully. He mentored the young. He advocated preparedness. His influence endured. Financial culture evolved. Risk awareness became normal. Emergency planning became standard. The jungle respected stability. Growth became sustainable. Panic reduced significantly. Confidence became rational. Systems replaced hope. Structure replaced emotion. The elephant observed quietly. His work was complete. The jungle was safer. Investors were wiser. Capital was protected. Losses reduced. Opportunities improved. Stability rewarded patience. The elephant's strategy endured. Emergency funds saved futures. Preparedness proved powerful. Wisdom outperformed speed. Discipline outperformed greed. Planning outperformed luck. Survival enabled growth. Growth followed resilience. Resilience followed preparation. Preparation defined success. The elephant's lesson spread across markets, across generations, across cycles. Emergency funds became habit. Habit became culture. Culture became strength. Strength protected ecosystems. The jungle prospered slowly. Stability replaced chaos. The elephant smiled quietly. His strategy lived on. The foundation was permanent. Time passed and markets evolved. New investors entered the jungle. Old mistakes were slowly forgotten. The elephant reminded everyone gently. He warned against repeating history. He stressed financial humility. He emphasized uncertainty. He encouraged preparedness. The elephant refined his framework. He categorized emergencies clearly. Personal emergencies were defined. Business emergencies were separated. Market emergencies were documented. Systemic shocks were anticipated. He planned responses in advance. He avoided improvisation during crises. Structure reduced panic. Clarity improved response time. The elephant advised liquidity audits. He recommended periodic reviews. Emergency funds were stress-tested. Inflation impact was considered. Accessibility was prioritized. Safety was never compromised. Yield was secondary. Protection was primary. Younger animals learned quickly. They adopted emergency planning early. They avoided reckless leverage. They respected cash flow stability. Financial maturity improved. Market behavior became calmer. Sudden shocks caused less damage. Recovery times shortened. The elephant's influence expanded. His principles crossed borders. Different markets adopted similar rules. Emergency funds became universal. Investors slept better at night. Stress-related failures declined. Decision quality improved. Long-term thinking increased. Growth became deliberate. Survival was no longer accidental. The elephant observed silently. He avoided taking credit. He valued collective progress. He believed systems mattered more than heroes. The jungle respected this mindset. Financial ego declined. Discipline gained status. Preparedness became admirable. Recklessness lost appeal. The elephant aged peacefully. His strategies stayed relevant. Markets continued cycling. Booms followed busts. Busts followed booms. Prepared investors remained calm. Unprepared ones struggled repeatedly. The pattern was clear. Emergency funds reduced regret. They preserved optionality. They preserved dignity. They preserved independence. The elephant summarized his lesson. Survival enables opportunity. Liquidity enables choice. Choice enables strategy. Strategy enables success. The elephant retired gradually. His teachings remained active. Institutions adopted his framework. Policies reflected his logic. Financial education improved. Risk literacy expanded. The jungle became resilient. Collective memory strengthened. Emergency planning normalized. Crises lost their shock value. Damage was contained. Recovery accelerated. The elephant's legacy solidified. His story entered textbooks. Analysts cited his discipline. Investors referenced his patience. Entrepreneurs applied his rules. The elephant's approach proved timeless. Emergency funds never became obsolete. Uncertainty never disappeared. Preparation remained essential. The elephant's message stayed simple. Hope is not a strategy. Planning is not pessimism. Cash is not laziness. Liquidity is freedom. Discipline is strength. Stability is power. Survival is success. Growth follows survival. The jungle prospered responsibly. Financial shocks became manageable. Panic was replaced by process. Emotion was replaced by structure. Luck was replaced by planning. The elephant smiled quietly. His work was complete. The system was stronger. Investors were wiser. Capital was protected. Futures were secured. The lesson endured. Emergency funds saved businesses. Emergency funds saved families. Emergency funds saved dignity. Emergency funds saved choices. The elephant's strategy lived on, across generations, across industries, across economies. Preparedness became a habit. Habit became culture. Culture became resilience. Resilience became advantage. Advantage created stability. Stability enabled progress. Progress rewarded discipline. Discipline protected wealth. Wealth supported growth. Growth remained sustainable. The elephant's lesson stayed relevant. Crises continued to appear. Prepared investors remained calm. The unprepared learned painfully. The difference was planning. Emergency funds made the difference. The elephant's voice echoed softly. Prepare before you need it. Save before you spend it. Plan before you grow. Protect before you risk. Survive before you expand. The jungle listened. The system adapted. Finance matured. Risk reduced. Stability increased. Growth aligned. Futures improved. The elephant's story concluded. But the lesson continued. In every budget. In every balance sheet. In every strategy. In every decision. Emergency funds became standard. Discipline became default. Preparedness became respected. The elephant's impact remained permanent. His wisdom guided silently. His strategy protected many. His patience inspired all. The jungle stood resilient. Markets remained imperfect. But preparation reduced pain. Emergency funds proved their worth. Again and again. Cycle after cycle. Generation after generation. The elephant's legacy endured. Survival was no longer luck. Stability was intentional. Growth was responsible. Finance was disciplined. The system was strong. The jungle was ready. For the next crisis. For the next cycle. For the next challenge.
Prepare
Emergency
before you need
funds stood ready. The elephant's lesson remained clear. Prepare quietly. Act calmly. Protect first. Grow later. Discipline always. Panic never. The story ended peacefully. The wisdom stayed alive. The elephant rested. The jungle thrived. The system endured. The future stabilized. Preparedness prevailed. Emergency funds succeeded. The lesson was permanent. The strategy was proven. The elephant was right. Survival came first, and growth followed. Years later, the jungle remembered the lesson clearly. Emergency funds were no longer optional. They were considered financial foundations. Every serious investor adopted them. Every responsible business planned them. The elephant's wisdom became timeless. His calm approach inspired generations. Markets continued to fluctuate. Crises continued to appear. But panic reduced significantly. Preparedness replaced fear. Structure replaced chaos. Discipline replaced impulse. Investors felt empowered. Choices increased during stress. Liquidity protected flexibility. Flexibility protected survival. Survival protected opportunity. Opportunity enabled growth. Growth remained sustainable. The elephant's philosophy endured. He believed readiness created confidence. Confidence improved judgment. Judgment reduced losses. Reduced losses preserved wealth. Wealth supported long-term goals. The jungle matured financially. Education improved outcomes. Risk awareness became natural. Emergency planning became instinctive. New investors learned early. Old investors adapted wisely. The system became resilient. Failures decreased over time. Recovery speeds improved. Trust in planning grew. The elephant's name symbolized stability. His story was shared widely. In classrooms and boardrooms. In startups and enterprises. Emergency funds saved livelihoods. They saved reputations. They saved independence. The jungle prospered responsibly. Excessive risk lost popularity. Balanced growth gained respect. Patience became valuable. Preparation became powerful. The elephant's lesson stayed simple. Prepare before the storm. Save before the loss. Plan before the risk. Protect before the expansion. Survive before you grow. The jungle followed this rule. Markets became healthier. Decisions became wiser. Capital became safer. Futures became brighter. The elephant's journey concluded peacefully. But his lesson lived on. In every budget. In every reserve. In every strategy. In every crisis plan. Emergency funds stood ready. Calm replaced panic. Order replaced confusion. Stability replaced fear. Growth followed resilience. The elephant's impact remained permanent. His wisdom guided silently. His discipline protected many. His patience inspired all. The jungle stood prepared. Whatever the future held. Storms came and passed. Prepared investors endured. Unprepared ones learned. The difference was planning. Emergency funds made the difference. Again and again. Cycle after cycle. The elephant was remembered with respect. Not for speed. Not for aggression. But for stability. But for foresight. But for discipline. His legacy was secure. The jungle was stronger. The system was wiser. Finance became responsible. Growth became sustainable. Risk became manageable. Preparedness prevailed. The lesson was permanent. Emergency funds mattered. Survival always came first. And growth followed safely.